there was some questions like Pastor, you had asked about if a corporation could set one up. And yes, there's the way it's any 501c3, if you're listed as one of those companies, you can set one up. Like if you want a scholarship fund or something, but it has, one child per account. You can't group them together.
Okay.
And the maximum that you can donate in Missouri or contribute to one fund is $325,000, but it can grow anywhere. It's unlimited in the growth potential, but you can only contribute up to $325,000 for one account. But it's unlimited, right? But it can grow past that, with
that's the maximum total contribution, or the maximum each individual
account.
Okay.
Yeah. And if you want to change the beneficiary, let's say a child decides they don't want to go to school, then you can change the beneficiary to a person in the beneficiary's family, a family member of that beneficiary, not your own beneficiary. I mean, not your own family member. It has to be a person related to the previous beneficiary. What else? Oh, and the withdrawals. There's a form you fill out. You can to get the withdrawal, and you can call for withdrawal. And on here they can send you a check directly to the school for any payments you want to make. And you can also, if you wanted the check made to you, first of all, any withdrawals you make, you get a 1099. So the IRS knows when you take money out of here, because they report it to the IRS. So if you're getting money and you're sending it to you, just make sure if you're making payments, keep the receipts just in case the IRS comes, wants some kind of proof. But otherwise, you can just write checks directly to the institution out of the account.
And real quick, one more question, and I really shouldn't ask you this, because if I needed to know it, I should be looking at myself. But just out of curiosity, in case you did know, if you're changing the beneficiary, do you need the original beneficiaries sign off on it?
Oh,
okay.
No, because you're the account owner, so you can do whatever. Yeah. Okay. I think I covered everything that I that's all I need. I mean, if there's other questions you guys have on that subtopic. And I'm seriously considering starting one up for my nieces and nephews. So, and also one quick thing, the funds, or not the funds, but the investment options, they have it set up where they have it like, if the child is right now 3 to 10 years old, they have a fund for you, to, because they're helping you gauge how much it'll take to get that child to college. So they have, like say a Vanguard fund for a kid that's 3 to 9 right now, or somebody 10 to 12, and you deposit your money into that kind of fund so that it gives time to grow. It's a whole lot of different funds, but okay, that's it.
All right. Well, I'm going to do a disclaimer. Some of you heard me talk a little bit about this a week or so ago. The Social Security can be so complicated that I am not going to delve into all the complications. There are so many laws controlling the way things are divvied up, and even if you go to do research, they're going to say they need your information to give you any information, any specifics. So I won't be able to give you like specifically, if you're this person making this money, you're going to get this amount, but I'm going to be able to give you that idea. And also any of the charts that I've made up, I will send to you so you have them and you can look at them in depth if you need to and understand a little bit better. if you're close to retirement, or when you get to that point and you really want to start looking at some of this stuff, or you let's say you apply for disability, or you have spouses spouses benefits or survivors benefits, all of that, it can be very complicated. There is also the survivor benefits. I will tell you up front, my biological father died when I was a year old. So we drew, all of us children received money every month from Social Security. It went to my mom to use as a part of our upbringing. Now, my mom, and I think she did a good job of this. She had to report every year what she did with the money. She couldn't just say, I just spent it. She had to say, a certain percentage was on clothing, food, and then she had a bank account that she would drop money into. So when we turned 18, the checks then started coming to us as 18-year-olds, but she then had to turn that bank account over to us. So we had a bank account. This ended up being our college fund, basically. We had that bank account. And then when you are a surviving child, if you're a young child, you get your survivor benefits end. Let me make sure I get this right. If you're still in school at 18, because I turned 18 in January, so when I finished high school, I would have gotten it through that last month of high school, unless I started college, which I did. And then I got it through age 22, which is typical college ending time. So the children's surviving benefits wants to take the child through college if necessary. It's not a lot of money. It's 50% of what that person would get themselves in a retirement. So it's not a lot of money, but for example, I was a year old when my father died, so I had a chunk of change that paid for college. That's how I got through college. Basically, all my money went to college. So my parents, who didn't really pay for college, and I didn't have any school loans. I didn't have anything like that. Didn't get financial aid. Didn't get school loans. None of that, because it was all this money my mom had put aside for me. And then my other brothers and sisters did similar things. So that's an example of how Social Security takes care of a surviving child. Now, that's one example. That's kind of what something that some people don't know about. What most people are interested in is retirement. Okay, here we go. I'm going to be sharing screens, and hopefully it will work the way I want it to. Okay, oh crap. I thought that was going to happen. I'm going to have to do this slightly differently, so I have my notes. Okay, can you all see that? All right.
Yeah.
I can't see all of you, so please speak up if you have a question. Just interrupt. We'll start with, there are 4 factors that weigh into how much you're going to get, which is what most people are interested in. And I'm going to talk about how you find stuff out, what your resources are. I have websites that you can get into. So I'm just going to do a broad overview, but there's a lot of stuff that you're going to have to do on your own. So know that I may answer your question eventually. So, your work history, how many years you've worked, what your rate of earnings are during that time, at what age you claim. Now, age doesn't matter with disability, but it does matter with retirement. And because of not real recent, but somewhat from the time that Social Security started, there was a change in what your birth year is and how it relates to what your full retirement age. And you'll hear me say full retirement age. That full retirement age is different depending on when you were born. Okay. All righty. So the earliest you can claim, or the earliest anyone can claim Social Security, is age 62. But that's not your full retirement age for anybody. And if you do claim it at that age, you're not going to get your full allotment or your full monthly payout. And I will show a chart that shows the difference. You will also see, you'll never make up that amount either. Even though you think, well, okay, at 62, I'll get this amount, but when I hit my full retirement age, I'll get that other amount. No, you never do. You do not get, if you take it early, you don't get that makeup time.
Yep.
They don't give it to you. So you really need to go to at least your full retirement age or later to get your full retirement. And then we'll talk a little bit about if you go beyond your full retirement age, how that can be a benefit. So it's in your best interest to work at least 35 years of your life, okay? And 35 years putting into Social Security. I'll give you another strange example. I'm a strange person. I worked for the state of Illinois for 15 years. In those 15 years, I did not pay Social Security because the state of Illinois has its own retirement plan, separate. There are certain entities like teachers sometimes will have this. They have their own entities, so you don't pay into Social Security during that time. And so you don't get credit for Social Security during that time either. So when it comes to certain ways of calculating how much money you're going to get from Social Security, those are just blank years. But if you work 35 full years or more, then you're going to get more annual earnings. Okay. What's the ideal age? So your ideal, you can claim between 62 and 64. And let's say you claim between your earliest age and 64. Okay. If you do that, you can claim, you're just going to really lose money. Again, I'll show you that in a little bit. And not everybody is equal, because if I claim at 62 and Marcia claims at 62, because we have different work history and different incomes and different, input into Social Security, what I would get at 62 is not going to look anything like what Elder Marcia gets at 62. Just know that. That's how it becomes real complicated. So there's no like standard, everybody gets this amount. It doesn't happen that way. So you can claim at 62 to 64. I say 64 because that's the beginning of the cutoff point of ages. And and get your benefits if you want to, if you need to. And during that time, before your full retirement age, you are allowed to work, but you are limited as to the amount you can work until your full retirement age. So until you hit that full retirement age, you can be drawing your Social Security, but you can also work, but you have limits to that. You can't, and it works that way with disability as well. It limits how much money you can make. If you're in poor health, let's say you are not well, but you can't necessarily get approved for disability. Some people will say, I probably won't live to my full retirement age, so I might as well, I'm not in real good health. Some people might choose that as an option. It may maximize your benefits because you are getting benefits and you at least get them before you pass away. But I would say, though, if you're in poor health, you may do better looking at disability because nobody can guess when they're going to die. Limited earning capacity. This one it's sort of like you can start your retirement and start the withdrawal. And then if you get a good job, you can say, oh, stop. There's a window where you can say, oh, stop, I don't want to draw anymore. And it's within that first year or so, and you have to pay it all back. So you could retire for like a year while you're looking for a job. This is just the weirdest thing. And say, oh, I found this better paying job. I don't want to retire, but now I got to pay this all back. So my thought would be, and it doesn't, there's no penalty to that. Like it's your benefits will continue to grow as if you didn't ever touch them. So it's like you could get to your full retirement age and still get your full benefits. It wouldn't even recognize that you took that money. But it sounds like a real hiccupy thing to me. That's just me. That kind of worried me. If you have a lower income, okay, when I start talking about lower income spouses and wealthy people, we may get there because we're learning. We're not there yet. And this is talking about if your spouse has a lower income and you're dual income, one of you might be better off to retire for tax relief purposes. And this is where it gets muddy for me because you almost need a financial planner to understand all of these. And I sat through a session with these people and my head was spinning. But even wealthier individuals who there's actually somewhat of a tax break, because the other thing is Social Security assumes you have other streams of income. They're not assuming you're living off them. They're thinking you have a 401k. They're thinking you have investments, you have real estate, you have other sources of income. So they're assuming that you're pulling from those other sources. And if you are, then you can retire anytime you want. So let's say between 65 and 67, which is for people, that's the full retirement age. And again, it'll depend, and I'll show you the chart. If you're in good health and you're doing pretty good, you have a pretty good savings account, have your other streams of income. You may not be drawing from them yet. Let's say you're not going to pull from your IRA yet. I know Elder Marcia talked about one where they really don't want, you have to draw by 70, but before that you don't have to, and you can let it grow. If you have a high earning spouse, again, you could retire and do fine, because you have those other sources. Now, between 68 and 70, these are people who are healthy and strong, probably have a good job, they're in really good health. They might be somebody who has no savings because they have nothing to rely, they have no other stream coming in, or they have other streams, they just want to sit on them. Again, high earning spouse or individuals. These are people who they don't need to retire right away because there's a window of time between your full retirement age and age 70 where you have the Social Security will bless you by giving you an additional 8% if you don't retire before age 70. So between whatever your full retirement age is and age 70, if you can hold on, you get that bonus of 8% more by when you fully retire, which bumps up your income after you retire. After age 70, it ain't worth working because it ain't going to give you anything else. But between full retirement age and 70, if you can work, do it and get that tucked away. Okay. Oh, let me see if I missed anything yet. Most people think that, I should claim my money as soon as possible. I'm not, I need this to live on, and it's understandable. Okay. I'm going to give you this. This is one slide. I'm going to move to another situation, but I want to show you this slide because this is one of the ones I'm going to send to you. These are things that you can do on your own. I want to talk about the first one, the SSA.gov My Account. Years and years ago, I don't even know what I was doing, but I signed up to get a yearly statement of my Social Security account. Well, I get it mailed to my house because it's that old. But anymore, you can go online, set up your account. Doesn't matter what age you are, just go in and look at it. They will have, I know this may be hard to see, but what you get, what it gives you is it's called your Social Security statement. Now, this is the printed out one, and this one is a couple years old, so you can ignore the numbers on here. It's not gonna make any sense. But if you can see any. But what it tells me is, and I can kind of show you, okay, I don't know if you can see this very well, but it lays out every year I've worked, it's really tiny. Every year I worked, it tells me how much I paid in that year to Social Security and how much I paid into Medicare. So can you see the years where I have zeros? I don't know if you can see them. Those are the years I worked for Illinois. So it looks a little wonky. Mine is going to look wonky. Years that I worked in Illinois, and I worked in Illinois twice. It just says 0. So I don't have anything. But every other year it will show you. And if you want to see what from the point that you started working, if you started working at age 16, so like in 1978 was my first year working. So I paid $669 in Social Security. So it will tell me that. Now I didn't make a whole lot of money.
So Elder Cindy.
Yeah.
So would you send us a copy of this slide?
Yes, this is one of the slides you're going to get.
Okay, thank you.
This is one of the slides you're going to get. So you will be able to look in there and say, oh, that's how much money I made that year, and this is the amount that I paid that got paid into. This is what my account's starting to look at. The second part of this page, and it really, and I'm showing you the pages because I can't get into the website and show it to you, or I will show you my business. Much as I love you, I ain't showing you my business. I just not.
But you know, another question, they used to mail those. They don't mail those out anymore, do they?
I know. That's what I'm saying. This is a mailed copy
That's
from
the- right, okay.
So yeah, so I'm just showing you what it'll look like. This is from 2 years ago, so you can see what it'll look like. Like you'll see a chart like this, and in this, they're very, very good about saying, like, you know, explaining everything. And if you need more information, here's a phone call. Here's however they give you all kinds of information when you're looking at this, so you understand what you're looking at. Now, there's going to be another page in there that says your estimated benefits. And all over it, it's going to say, this is an estimate. If you were to today ask for it, you might get it. This might be what you get. But it's all very dependent. Now, it's going to say, here's if you retire at 62, here's if you go to 70, here's how much you're going to, like, according to this is a few years ago, if I had retired at 62, I would have gotten $775 a month.
Yep.
But this is at least 2 or 3 years old. But if I retired at that point, if I retired at 62, doing nothing else in the last 2 or 3 years, that's what I would have got. If I had gone to my full retirement age, 1181, if I went to 70, 1596.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I'm going to show you another chart. So don't, so your brain can just look at it. It also is going to show you disability, what that would look like for you. And it also will show you that if you have an underage child and if you have a spouse, and it's all an estimate, but it's going to show you what at that point, at that day, that snapshot looks like. And that's the whole thing you have to remember. It's a snapshot of that day. Okay, so this is one of the slides you're going to get. Now, I'm going to stop sharing this and I'm going to share something else. Here we go. This is what you want to see. Oops. Or not. Forgot to share it. This is what you want to see. This is the chart you want to see, Mother Trout. Okay, so if I hope this makes sense. On the left side, your year of birth. If you're born before, I think it's 1943, I think it goes back to 1938. 1938 to 1943, or anything before 43, you could retire at 65. Those people are well retired. 1943 to 54, full retirement age is 66. 1955 year of birth, 66 in 2 months. So see how they're incrementally bringing it up to 1960? This was to help Social Security because it was having some financial problems. This is my understanding. And people were living longer, able to work longer. So your year of birth is over there. So I'm born in 1959. So my full retirement age is 66 and 10 months. And this is all calculated. There's little notes on the bottom about how they calculate some of that. I put them in there. I don't know if they're relevant for anybody. But I would have to be between 62 and 66 and 10 months. That's 58 months. They calculate everything in months. So if I were to get $1,000 in my retirement, if I go to full retirement age and I retire early, instead of getting the $1,000, I'm going to get $708. You see what happens? And how much it's reduced? And if you look at that, that's significant. That's a significant drop. Can you all see that pretty well? And your spouse's benefits are dropped as well. So everything drops significantly.
You know, I was, Elder, I was considering retiring early, you know, like at 62, because I was just in a hurry to get out of the rat race. And I don't know, I had never really seen this chart, but a couple of people had said to me the amount that you would not be getting if you go out early, the change is not going to be that much. But this is a lot to me.
That's frightening.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Because the difference, and I think I'm missing a slide somewhere or something. Yeah, it's about you lose about $300 a month. Now that's significant. That's food. That's
Definitely.
So, okay, so my retirement age would be 67. So is this chart telling me that if I retired at 62 and not 67, I would get $700 or $1,000 of my benefit would be reduced. That's set to 700.
Oh,
so whatever it would.
Let's say they just gave a blanket, like if you were getting $1,000,
Yeah.
which you're probably going to get more than that.
Right, but I
they
mean
rounded it so you
that's a lot.
understand it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for $1,000, well, like I was saying on this one chart, for me, it said if I retired, this was a few years ago, at 62, I would get $775 at 62. If I wait to full retirement age, so for me is 66 and 10 months here, I jump up to $1,181. And if I go all the way to age 70, I jump to $1,500. So I make an extra $400 a month if I can wait to 70.
Right.
But you know, I would hate to, you know, I want to go out I would want to do the full, but I sure don't want to work till I'm 70. I don't want to work that long.
I know
Here's
that's
the
right.
thing. It's not, it's work, but are you, this is why it's multiple streams. So you don't claim your Social Security, but are you working the job you have now? Are you doing something else? What are you doing? You're not claiming your Social Security. You still have an income until you're 70. And
Right.
that, you see what I'm
That's
saying?
what I was gonna say. Because I mean, like me personally, had I stayed working at hotels, I realized, you know, I would have been, you're making more money, but you're talking about just getting your Social Security. At that age, I plan to be sitting at somebody's reception desk showing somebody to the back. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not trying to work that hard, but you could get more benefits if you wait. I mean, more Social Security if you wait longer. And a $400 for a month is a big difference. My mom waited until, I think the age has changed. It was 65 at one point, I thought, for the full thing.
Yes, this changed.
Yeah,
They did this weird roll, and it kept rolling up a little bit, up a little bit, up a little bit, and this is where it stopped right now. Now, is it going to go up again? It could, but I don't know. It could stay, this could be the last roll of it. But like, see, Mother Trout, if you think about it in terms of, now, I obviously, I lost my job, started working in a bookstore, and then the jobs I was looking for at that point, after I lost that job, because it was a high stress job. Yes, it paid well, but it was a high stress. I was called I had to work all kinds of hours. I didn't need that. The job I have now, I am way overqualified for. I'm an administrative assistant / reception desk lady. I am not this highly technical person. I'm not. So Steffi says, "Oh, Mom, you're sort of in retirement." And I am.
That's what I want.
Because this is the kind of job I can do. And if I stay healthy, which I'm doing pretty good at it, if I stay healthy, I have the benefits of the job, and I have the benefits of I could go probably till I'm 70 because the job isn't stressful. They also, this job ties into my retirement from the last job. It's TIAA Craft. So I have another stream of income that's going to come in when I retire as well. It's like a 401k. So that it's not necessarily that you stay in the same job till you're 70, but you claim your Social Security until you're 70.
And see, that's what, and I think that's kind of like what I was thinking was like in this highly stressed job. This is not what I want. Because I kind of like wanted something that there was really very low stress and to no stress at all. At my age right now, because I'm trying to transition into retirement. But so earlier, didn't you say that like you could like say, so mine is 66 and 6 months that I could retire and receive my full Social Security benefit. See, at 66 and 6 months.
Right. So that right. At that point you'd get the $1,000.
Right. I would get my full benefit. But
right.
But even so, if I start to draw that at that age, at that full age, then I can still work, but I can only make there's a maximum that I can make. I can't make over a certain amount, right?
No, that's only if you retire at 62. Between 62 and full retirement age, there are limits.
So if I wait till the full retirement age, I can't work.
You can go out and get a full-time job.
When I get to the full retirement age.
Yeah.
So I could still work, get my full Social Security benefit and no penalties or anything. I could still work.
The way I decipher it, yes. Now, am I an expert? Nope. But my understanding is where you have limits is if you're trying to retire early. After you hit your full retirement age and you're drawing there, they want you to hit full retirement age. So they try to push you as much as they can towards that. So they put limits on things. With disability, they put limits on things because the assumption is with disability, you can't work much. So you shouldn't be working much. When you hit full retirement age, I think, if I understand it properly, once you hit that full retirement age, they don't care. You could still be working. But most people are like, if I'm going to retire, I'm going to retire.
Like, well, I was thinking like by that time, the sanctuary will be doing so well that I could, work for the sanctuary.
You could be a part-time secretary with Betty.
Yeah, right.
See, and that's the thing that that people like they could say, well, if I have this other stream of income, let's say my other retirement is coming in, I have this other stream of income, I don't need to claim my Social Security yet, so I don't, because I'm claiming my 401k or whatever. So I leave that alone until I'm 70 and then claim it. Then you have an additional, that weird few years of 8%, which was another $500, $400.
You know, I have a friend, her and her husband, they both retired. And but I mean, so they're not working anymore, but they are, how are they doing it? Okay, so they are drawing the Social Security, their full Social Security benefit, and they're living off that. They moved their retirement into an IRA, and they're just letting it sit pretty, and they're not even touching that yet. They've paid their house off. They have no mortgage. I mean,
And
now that's the life.
now, and that's what the one thing that the when I sat through this session, they said the first thing you need to do is plan ahead if you're going to retire, and know that you're going to live, unless you're a wealthy person, in retirement, you're going to live with a smaller income. Therefore, prepare yourself for that. Prepare yourself by downsizing. You see a lot of people start to downsize, or paying off your debts, or, preparing for that simpler lifestyle. Then, because you don't need all the things you did while you were working. You don't need the corporate clothing. You don't need so much gas to drive back and forth to work. You don't need, you might go from a bigger house to a smaller house, or you pay off the house, like you said. You hear a lot of people downsizing into a smaller home. That's one of the things they said, don't just go, I'm going to retire today because I can, without thinking about what are the things that are going to be different for me. I'm trying to see if there's anything else I've missed here.
I got a question. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was just going to talk about I'm going on to a slightly different topic, so go ahead.
So your monthly payout, it really doesn't have to do with the amount of your earnings, like how much you make, right? On Social Security. When you're earning Social Security, it's only a percentage of what you're paying into it.
Right.
So the four things that you listed on here, none of them are the amount that you're making. It's just your earning history, which means the length of time you're making money, right?
Those are qualifiers. They mean you qualify. That's how. Those are the things that. Let me get back up there. Those are the things that they weigh when they say, okay, you qualify. How much do you qualify for? And
okay,
that kind of thing. So they have calculations
Gotcha.
that they do, and they use those things to do those calculations, if that
Okay.
makes sense.
Okay.
So
somebody making $100,000 a year and somebody making $30,000 a year, they're both paying into Social Security. But let's say they both work 10 years. But the percentage that they're going to get paid out of Social Security, given to them of Social Security, has less to do with them making $100,000 and $30,000, and more to do with the length of time they're throughout their life that they've been working, and their age.
No, it does have to do with how much
it's a combination of both, really.
Right, it's a combination of all that.
It's a combination of what you paid in, what your
Right,
employer pays
exactly.
in.
Oh, that's right. The employer, I forgot about them.
So
Okay.
it's a
Yeah.
combination of what you pay in, your employer pays in, what that looks like. It's sort of, your Medicare is the same way. What have you paid in so far? What is your
Okay.
employer? And then you somehow are categorized.
They only take a certain percentage out of your check based on your income. So it might be
Income,
like 3%.
yes.
So if you make 100,000, it's 3% of
That's
100,000. If
okay.
you make,
Yeah,
Yeah.
so yeah.
Okay.
That's why it's hard for me to say, well, you and I would get the same thing. We would,
Right.
because you would have a different work history than I did.
Okay.
Mhm.
You know, and different,
Okay.
like, you know, and my whole thing with the state of Illinois, it looks wonky, but it's what happened. But I have a retirement coming from the state of Illinois. So I didn't lose anything. I actually gained something from it, but if that makes sense, because
Yeah.
it's a separate
It's
retirement.
another stream of income.
Yeah,
Yes,
it's
it
another
is.
Will
stream of
be.
income. And they take and then they take that all into consideration when they consider how much they're going to pay you too, because they look at all your streams of income and say, oh, well, you don't need, from Social Security, you don't need $5,000 a month. So we're going to give you two, because you have, they look at your total picture. So it is really individualized. And I encourage you, I don't care how old you are, to start looking at that account and just paying attention to it so you know. Also, if your company has the 401ks and that kind of thing, do that. If they have a match, like where I work now, just right after I started working there, they were like, our match for your retirement, if you want, we'll match you at 8%. And I said, well,
Wow.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. Then COVID hit. Guess what they cut?
6.
The whole thing.
No, not the whole match.
Mine stopped the whole thing.
Down to 60%.
No, what they did is they cut the last half of the year, which means it averages out to 5% instead of 8%.
Oh,
If
wow.
that makes sense. So it's okay. It's okay. If that's what they cut, I'm okay with it, because here's the thing. They'll go back up.
Hmm.
If they did it once, will they go that high? I don't know. But they see it as a perk. And right now they needed some money savings. This will work. And when they're able to financially, they told us the finances and everything the other day. And if financially they can afford to push that match back up, they will. But if your company offers that kind of a match, usually they say, well, you have to opt into the match. You have to agree to it. Agree. And you might say, well, I see less money now. I would rather see less money now and see more money later. You almost have to start making those kinds of choices.
What about spousal benefit?
Get more specific.
Yeah, do you have to be legally married in order to get spouse benefit?
Yes.
You do.
Okay.
Yes. Now, that was kind of where I was going to go anyway. Now, here's the thing about spousal benefits. This is the funny thing. They, when it comes to what they call spousal or survivor benefits, whether you're married, divorced, there's a lot of things that come into play. One, you have to be married at least a year. Two, if you get a divorce and neither remarries, you can claim each other's survivor benefits. Okay. I'll give you an example of that in a minute. Three, if one remarries, I think You can't, there's something in there you can't, if it's something, it gets wonky. But if you've been married and the person has passed away and have never remarried, you can claim theirs.
And if you are I just know this from grandmother. If you if the spouse remarries, if the person remarries, right, and they die, um the benefits would go to the the one that they were married to the longest.
See how wonky that is?
Yeah,
Like the poor
yeah.
person who's like, I might have been married to him 10 years and you were married to him 20 years and I'm out. You know,
Right, and he
Right.
and wait a minute, and they loved you more, who was married to him less years. You know, like say, well, I mean, just think, you divorced on really bad terms.
right.
You know, you wouldn't want your benefits going.
So again, I'll give you examples from my family. My father died when I was a year old. My mother was a widow and remarried to a widower. So neither one of them had a divorce at that point. So they married each other. They were married for almost 25 years and they divorced. Neither one remarried. When my mother went to retire, she went in, and my mom had worked at least 35 years. She did stop to raise 6 children. So sometimes that, she didn't make, it wasn't a high, money maker. When she went into Social Security, she got more per month claiming it off my biological father, who died at age 29, than she could off of her own. So she got more money per month because she was claiming his Social Security. Now this is after that all 4 of us kids were claiming that for our entire from age, well, for me, 1 to 22, and my siblings were not much older than me. So they paid a lot of money to us that my father could not have made by age 29. And then he still made more money than she did. Financially, somehow they calculated that she could get more money claiming his Social Security survivor benefit than her own retirement. So she got that for her retirement. Now, when my stepfather died, he was retired, had been retired for about 10 years. When he died, neither had remarried. So when he died, she went back into Social Security, and his survivor Social Security benefits was higher than my biological father, so she could claim his. Because they had not remarried.
Smart woman. She knew what to do. Because they wouldn't have told her, right? I mean,
they did tell her when she went to claim the first one. They said, now if your divorced spouse dies, you can claim his. Well, when my dad died, we were in the funeral home and we were planning his funeral, and my mom just blurted out, "Oh, I get more money."
Oh no.
He said something and it made her sound like she was killing off husbands. They're like, "Mom, shut up." Because I mean, it was really funny because she kind of blurted something out that made it sound like she was killing off husbands for their Social Security. Yeah, ooh, whippy. But so survivor's benefits, Cheryl, are you have to be legally married at least a year. And then there's this wonkiness of married, remarried, how long you're married. It's really wonky. Like it's all over the place. And then what's the other one? And then there's the children's, which I told you about.
Mhm.
And disability, you really have to, you almost need a help from a lawyer.
Well, the reason we didn't get married, because I didn't want to interfere with her disability. I was afraid that my income would interfere with hers and what she was getting. So that's why we didn't legally get married.
See, and it may not have, I don't know.
I
Again,
don't know either.
I don't know that it would have. I think if you
Not
had,
as bad as you think, because it's based off of what your income would be. And if you think about, like, for you the last couple of years, I mean, unfortunately, you've had so many moments where you haven't been working. That wouldn't have been a major issue.
Oh,
No.
okay.
It would put you in a better position currently. I mean, I hate to say,
Yeah.
shoulda, coulda, woulda,
Coulda. Yeah.
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 but it would have been like, if they considered, like G said, and that's what I was going to say, if they considered, if you were wealthy, if you were a rich person, yeah, it might have. But
Yeah.
but based on what you were making or whatever, probably if it did, it would probably not be that
Very
significant.
minimal. Okay.
Yeah. So, and then you would have only been now survivors benefits are less.
Yeah.
It's about 50% of what the person themselves. So if you look at this chart, survivors benefits are about half. So if I
Yeah.
get $1,000 as a person, my survivor would get 500.
Right. Right.
So it's still, it's not a full benefit, and you can't claim both.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense? You can't claim your own and a
Yeah.
survivor.
Right. Exactly. Okay.
And just to point out one other thing, and this is something that they're lobbying in Congress regarding as well. This is not about survivors, but lobbying and just something to consider in relation to how and when you may choose to file is the life expectancies of different races are different. So, these ages are across the board. And yet, for example, Asian Americans have a 10-year life expectancy on African Americans. So one of the things that they're saying is, Black people aren't drawing that long from it because they're dying.
Yeah.
So it's just something to consider in terms of when you might file, and circumstances surrounding when you file, and also something that you might want to contact your congressman people about in terms of being able to account for those type of disparities in relation to benefits and stuff.
Now, the thing speaking to Cheryl and her concerns, because she's getting up there with she's a little bit older than I am. If you wanted to consider retirement at like 62, between 62 and full retirement age, before you do anything, do your research, ask questions, go to the Social Security office and talk to them. They're not the enemy. They're not. They will sit down and talk to you, make an appointment, go and talk to them. Go in and say, here's my situation. I want to make good choices. Do your research online. And the last slide I want to show you guys is also something I'm going to send. Let me stop sharing this one. And this is just like a quick thing that came with this stuff. It's hold on and share. Hold on. It's just a quick. It's a little newsletter that came with this thing that they put out, and it's just some things to consider. It's just a snapshot of some of their information, right? Just a snapshot. But with that snapshot in this little newsletter, it has some things to think about, some contact information, where to go to look for some of this information if you need it. This is a very simple snapshot, but I'm going to send this as well, because to me, it was like, well, that's a nice little, now, like I said, it is really complicated. It's really, there's a lot of laws. You have to pay attention to what Congress is doing. You know, when they say they're cutting benefits, there's also the one thing that I forgot to talk about was there is also a what's called a cost of living increase that happens. So you would get a bump up with cost of living at times. So you're not stuck at that same amount for your entire retirement. You do get a bump up with cost of living, but it's usually not that much. It's not that much. And you know, you could retire and continue to work. Just you need to know how much you can work. You know, if you say I want to draw my retirement and I want to get my Medicare or my, you know, at 65 you have to automatically, whether you retire or not, at 65 you have to register with Medicare. You just have to.
Yeah, if you don't, you get penalized and you have to pay it back when you do. Like if you did it at 66 or 67 or something, you're late. And so even if you're still working, you have to sign up for Medicare, and they'll actually cut your check for extra Medicare if you're still working. If you don't, a lot of this I know because my mom turned 70 this year. So we went through this stuff over the last few years together. And my dad did too before he passed away. But when you guys we all hit 65, we have to sign up for Medicare. Otherwise,
you have to, whether like you could be working. My sister was working, had insurance with her company. My sister worked till she was 67. She said, I had to have Medicare. I don't need Medicare. I had better insurance too, but I have to have this. So you have to do certain things. So it's not something it's something you have to literally spend some time, do your research, see what's best for you. If drawing your Social Security and working is a better option for you, there's no one way to do it because we're all different. But I think what we're learning through these classes is are there other streams of income? Are there other ways for me to make money? And plan for my retirement. If I'm, what I look at is I look at the screen right now and I see so many ages. Some of us are getting close to retirement and some are not. And some are farther away. Yeah. So those of us closer to retirement have to start thinking about, okay, how do I prepare for that and prepare for and work on some of these other streams of income like we've been talking about in the other classes. Cheryl, I would really suggest you go back and watch some of the like the one Pastor did. And so you can see some of the things that are possible to make some money besides working. But also, do I do that? Do I just, for Mother Trout, do you find a job as an administrative assistant in some little place where you're just
a dog washer, grooming dogs? That's fun.
Do a dog washer.
I'll be an operator.
As bad as her allergies are.
Go work in a little boutique somewhere. Go work in a little boutique. But I can tell you, my experience has been that when I started looking for a new job, because I was forced to, what I realized is I was not looking for jobs at the level of education I was looking for a job where I thought I could do it and have peace. And that's what I found. And so Steffi always jokes that I'm already retired. I just work once in a while.
But after you reach a certain age, that's kind of like what you really want to do. Because like now I wouldn't want to be looking for a highly stressed job or that's got a whole lot of stuff going on. I mean, I did when I was younger, that was fine. I mean, I could handle it. I'm handling this one fine, but I don't like it. So I would really like to get out of the highly stressed. But I wanted to ask this other question. You had mentioned earlier about the 401ks. Is there like a percentage, like with something like a percentage that would be wise to have deducted to your 401k, like 5%? Would that be the desired amount, or is there any specific amount percentage to contribute to it?
I generally contribute what they'll match, at least. If my company says we'll match up to 4%, I do 4, they do 4, that's 8.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't, this company that I'm with now, they don't match.
See, I've worked at places that match, and so
I did too previously, but I'm with an
my
agency now.
calculation has always been
Yeah.
do at least the match. I mean, if they're
I
gonna
would say like 5%.
yeah, if
I
they're
would say 5%. And then mine, every year we get the option, you can increase it 1% a year. So let's say you get a raise and next year you want to do 6%. And you can do it that too, but I would just throw it 5 and see how that goes.
Yeah, because when I was with Monsanto did match. But now that I'm with the contract agency, you can contribute to a 401k, but they don't match.
See, and it's different. I mean, I've always worked at places that were somewhere in the 4 or 5 range and they would match. It just so happened in the last year where I'm at now said they'd match 8. So I said, absolutely.
Right. Right.
There was no, I don't care. And yeah, it takes more money out of my paycheck, but I don't care. If you're going to match me at 8, I'm going up to 8.
Right.
And you can adjust your finances for the month. You're not going to miss that 8%.
I'm like,
and I think that's part of the
if you're going to
thing.
match my 8, I'm going
Yeah,
there.
That's really good.
But of course, when they have financial problems, whether they're going to cut, they're going to cut back. And it averages out that in the year, I will actually have a 5% from them, but that's okay. It's okay.
Mm-hmm.
But the like Marcia said, the more you can kind of build up, you're not going to miss it, especially if you get a raise and then you build up and you get a raise, you build up. You're just putting more money away. I know there's a lot of questions that come into mind with Social Security. There's a lot you have to pay attention to what the government's doing, but I really encourage you to, I'll send this stuff to you, go on these websites, go in the website, kind of register yourself and make your account. You can do a little calculator in there that shows you, if I go back to this, hold on. Let me get the right one here. I'm gonna get the right one here. Hold on. I want to show you that the shared screen and share, and then hold on. So this one, you can check your benefits. You can estimate it. It has an estimator on there for you. It will estimate what it looks like. It will tell you about spouses benefits, Medicare, disability benefits. So if that's part of it. And then once you have your benefits, you have your own account set up there, and they try to make it as simple as possible, but it doesn't hurt to know what's happening in there, even if you're younger, because you can see how, again, like Pastor said, when something comes up in the government is trying to do something, you understand how that might affect you. When people are like, no, you can't cut my Social Security. And honestly, when I was growing up, I think my grandparents had General Motors pension from when my grandfather worked for General Motors, Fisher Body, and Social Security.
Mm-hmm.
So they even back then, even my grandparents, which, we're talking people born 100 years ago or more, even then they had multiple streams for their retirement.
Yeah.
They had a pension and Social Security when they retired.
Yeah.
Because when Social Security happened, it didn't say, oh, you have a pension, you don't get Social Security. It said you have, so people began to see that that was ultimately, Social Security is not there to be your only source of income.
Oh, yeah.
It's just not. It's supposed to help you, but not be the total thing. Yes, Terrell.
Yes. So now, once you start receiving Social Security and you're locked in at a certain rate to receive a certain amount every month, is there a possibility that the government can come back and cut the amount that you're getting as a result of budget restraints, on the federal level and all of that? Has that ever happened? Or once you get an increase, is that locked and you can only go up from there? So it's,
I don't think it's ever happened, but I can't say it won't, if that
Mm.
makes sense. I know there have been times where they didn't get a cost of living bump.
Mhm.
I remember that happening to some friends of ours. Some friends that I know that were retired, they didn't get that bump up, or if they were in disability, they didn't, because people will plan on that.
Mhm.
I need that bump up.
Mm.
And if it didn't happen, cost of living goes up, but they're not getting an increase. I've never heard of them cutting it, but will they never do that? I
Don't know.
And then I Pastor made a valid point with, it's a system that we have to watch what's going on in Congress all the time to see what's happening, because, we're paying into it. Ultimately, our pay in has paid for somebody else.
Mhm.
People's pay in is paying for
Yeah.
us. So
Mhm.
it's so very much affected by everything going on around us in the government. So, and how like laws and rules and it's very individualized, strangely. Is there a better way to do it? I don't know. But that's why you have those multiple streams.
Mhm. Thank you.
I've been having this discussion with 2 points, if you don't mind me sharing.
Sure, please
is,
do. I'm no expert, so yeah.
I've been talking to, I was actually talking to a couple of friends some weeks ago, actually like right after we got let go from the hotel. So one of the things that a lot of people are talking about and looking forward to maybe starting next year and whatnot is that companies now see that they actually can benefit from more employees working from home, that a lot of what we do, since we're so tech savvy and so computer, driven, we can do this from home. So the overhead of a company not having to have the brick and mortar, the expenses of having people come into a building and all of that expense goes down. So hopefully more of our retirement services will actually, like 401k won't be the first thing that they cut out every time there's a financial issue, that 401k will, be matched and can be matched more if expenses can go down. That's what a lot of companies have already, some of the top companies, which are always the smartest one, it's always like Apple and Microsoft and all of the bigger companies like that, who were already doing these things anyway. Like they have so many people that work from home. But if we can more so do that, then maybe 401ks and retirements and stuff like that can be more stable and possibly put more into them. And if you think about it, our personal expenses have gone down with not having to use as much gas to go in and to work. We don't have to Marsha and I got to dress up to go to work, I don't have to wear suits and ties and shirts and stuff like that. So, that stuff comes down with jobs that come from home. The other part I did want to share too. So the Social Security thing, I had on my account on socialsecurity.gov a few years ago, and it dawned on me. I remembered it when you mentioned it, and I was like, oh gosh, and I went to the website. I had it linked to an email address a few years ago that I no longer have, but it was really simple for me to get back into it. But the thing I remember seeing about it is that it did break down and tell me how much I made. My first job was in 1990. So it did tell me how much I made for each year, but the cool thing at the end of it is telling me what to expect. Like if I stopped working now for some reason and didn't work again, but I still didn't do full retirement, like my ages at 62 and 67 are a little bit more than what I expected. But I also realized that that's over 20 years from now for me. So the cost of living by the time I get there, it looks cute now, but but by the time I get to be those ages, it will be like, oh, okay, well, there's no way I can survive off of this. But it was nice to look at, to see what my amounts were if at 62, at 67, at 70. Those, it gives me an idea, like, what things could be like, and about how much I might need to supplement for myself when I get to those ages, till I could do, like Mother Child mentioned about, she could do a part-time receptionist at the church or something like that. And then especially it's important, and I had to talk my mom into this a few years ago when she retired, is that find something that you can control the hours. That's one of the things that really helps, because it helps you to also not be so stressed about, but to get a job where you won't work any more than 3 days out of the week, and then you won't be in trouble and have to pay some taxes back, depending on what age, at age you're talking about retirement doing it. But it does help to sit down, and she did. She went to Social Security, she sat down with a person, they made recommendations for her, and I think she's getting, the best of what she can get to. She also has a retirement thing, and that's for me, having worked at hotels, and a lot of companies just don't offer any retirement anymore. There's no retirement plans. Retirement plans have gone away. If you don't already have one, you won't get one. 401k is the different option for a lot of people, but it just behooves us. I think we've taken on, and a lot of people my age and younger have just taken for granted. I just kind of grew up in that household where we did all of this stuff, and that's my family thing. Like, we put towards retirements, we watch Social Security, but younger people are feeling like, oh, they're not gonna have no money when I get there anyway, so I'm not worried.
Exactly.
I'm like, but you can't have that mentality, because I don't care if it's, when I get to be that age, I'm like, I don't care if it's $400 a month. I worked hard since I was 18 years old. I want every dime I can get from all these years of working. So I want my money. Right?
So when you were talking about the more people working from home, and the amount that the companies can save, the amount that they're saving, they don't have to try to cut back here and there. I was thinking about, I was talking about this with one of my coworkers, that, in a case like that, they could probably really be saving so much that maybe the layoffs don't have to be so big. Maybe they don't have to lay off so many people, and maybe there may be more job opportunities for others too. So I think that would be a really nice benefit, that would benefit a lot of people.
Yeah, brick and mortar is expensive. Like people will come to all the hotels I've ever worked for. That people are saying, "Oh God, this hotel is gorgeous," and y'all I realized that it costs $200 a night to stay here, but if you knew the expenses of brick and mortar, like the electricity bill for our hotel was something like $12,000 a month, and people don't get, like, that's a lot. You multiply 12 times 12 for the year, just the electricity bill, and you haven't touched anything else. So yeah, I mean, that's a hotel. So I can imagine like some of these other 12 or 13-story buildings that house 100 to 200 plus people, working in offices and stuff like that. That's a lot of money.
Well, and we have to understand that we all have experience. And that's kind of why, I love hearing, like, we all have experience and know people who have done some things in their retirements, and we hear horror stories, we hear good stories. I think people think that, oh, if I go talk to the Social Security, they're going to be mean to me. It's like they're not going to give me what I want. No, they're there to help you. I mean, I know of an experience where someone went in to do a retirement and came out with disability, because that was how it happened. When they started talking to the person and telling their story, the person said, wait a minute, why aren't you applying for disability? and they were trying to take early retirement. And they were like, you'll get more money disability. Looking at what you're telling me, you would qualify. Oh. So they are, you know, go get the information. Go on these websites. I will send this all to you, and, you know, just create the account, look at it. That it is going to have you jump through some hoops to get in there, because it has to. It has to know certain things because it's got to know who you are. But it's worth having, because once you have it set up and it's you and they know it's you, you're good. So I would say, if you know, if we need to sit down sometime and talk again, we could do it, because we, you know, but pay attention. And if somebody, you know, like if Pastor hears another thing of, oh, this is going on with Social Security. I mean, the idea that, yeah, life expectancy between, you know, men, women, different race. Yeah, I mean, it's phenomenal, the differences, if you start breaking down who people are, that life expectancy is all over the place. Well, how can they you know, even know, like, you know, I could live longer than I don't know. Gee, I don't know, just because where we grew up. I grew up in Michigan. He grew up in the South. You know, some of that stuff may need to be taken into consideration. I mean, I'm a woman. You're a man. My life expectancy is greater than yours. But I don't even think they consider those things at all. So we need to just keep each other informed and talk about it, support each other. Just know there is no right and wrong way to do it. Not with Social Security. You do what you need to do. There's no right or wrong way. You just do what you need to do.